Hey, what up? It's Brad with Home Love Construction, and today we're gonna be building a deck. Let's do it.
Y'all ready for this?
So we're basically on day, I think 3 of this deck build. We kind of skipped through the demo because it's pretty basic. I mean, we basically just broke out the old deck and we had to remove a jacuzzi. And as you can see behind me, we're getting a huge bush stump out of the ground. So we've got a little come along set up. There's really nowhere to put a winch or anything. So we're using a mechanical come along to just get it out. The old deck was resting right on the ground. So earth to wood contact is something we never want. And so it really didn't hold up well. It wasn't well built. The deck boards were cupping. So we ripped it all out and the customer's having us put in a brand new wood deck. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull some earth out so that we can at least get, you know, a good like 3 to 4 inch clearance all the way up to the house. And we're gonna set it on posts that are gonna be set in holes with Sika fence post mix. Okay, so on this deck, we have to figure out a way to get all the weight to the ground. When you're framing something, the goal is you take the weight of the person or the load standing on the structure and you somehow transfer it safely, keyword safely, into the ground. So we're having our deck boards lay across the top of the deck, obviously. Between there, we have what I'm standing on right now, which is called a floor joist. This joist is attached to the beam, like what you might call a box beam on either side, with these joist hangers, which are nailed to the joist and the beam. The beam, which all the joists are attached to, runs the opposite direction and is then bolted with 2 huge 1/2 inch, these might even be 5/8, but I think they're 1/2 inch through bolts, which attach it to a post. That post actually runs 24 inches below the ground and is cemented, and it's actually a mix of Sika fence post mix and cement as a topping agent to hold the post into the ground safely. So through the connection of the wood to the nails and the hangers to the other beam to the bolt to the post to the ground, we're getting all of our load from somebody standing on a deck board down to the ground safely, and that is our framing layout. The decking is going down. It's time to talk about what we're using to put the decking down. Originally, the plan was camo system screws, so hidden fasteners. The way that camo system screws, I love this system, it's super sick. So a camo system screw, there's an attachment which we don't have, which we're not using it. I'll explain why. It basically gets driven into the side of the board and then it drives through into the floor joist underneath. And you can't see the screw from the top. Like this is a great example. On this board, there are no visible screw heads. So typically that's how we do it. On this deck, since it's a herringbone, it was a little difficult to get that to work. So what we did instead is we're actually driving the camo screws through the face of the board. What's nice about using the camo system, and they're basically exterior trim head screws, which means they have a really small head on them. We can just drive them through, and the first time that it rains or the first couple rains, the wood's gonna swell up, it's gonna close up those holes. We're over driving them, so they're actually going beneath the surface of the wood. So, you know, if you look across the deck, you can't actually see any of the screw heads right now, which by the time, you know, the wood swells and heals itself, it's gonna look super sick. It's gonna look like just a bunch of deck boards. Obviously they'll be secure, but you're not gonna be able to see any of the trim heads. Now I know the sticklers are gonna be like, but how are you preventing from uplift on the deck boards? Each of the deck boards, because this man right here knows what he's doing, is screwed into the spine horizontally at the ends to prevent that upward lift. So we're using what colloquially would be called a marine grade lumber. So it's a #1 AQC prime pine lumber. So this basically can be submerged and there's nothing's gonna happen to it. It's super It's treated for basically to be used for docks. We're using it on a deck because we're out here on the water. This is gonna get beat on by the elements. We want it to last a really long time. So use a higher grade of lumber to increase the lifespan of the deck. Super pumped about it. It's got this nice radius edge. Any of our cuts, we're routering the edges off of them. It's coming together so sick. All right, so the deck is complete. What we did with the stairs situation, we technically don't need a handrail on this deck because that's at, I believe it's 30 inches of height. You have to do a handrail and some sort of basically, there's code for that. We only went to up, I think, about 24 inches. So what we did is every time that the ground went 6 inches lower, we added a step. So from the beginning of the deck, we come out, this is the first time we get past 6 inches. So we dig it out, made a step, continued it out, and then we get it down another 6 inches here, another step here. The way the steps wound up coming out, it actually expanded the footprint of the deck and made it take up more of the yard. They didn't have much of a usable backyard here, so we thought, you know, between what the owner wanted and what it was gonna look like in the finished product, this was definitely the way to go for the stairs. We actually did an inside corner on the stairs here, and the inside corner and stairs is extremely hard to frame. And huge shout out to John Hill, our master carpenter, for framing this. It took him a little bit of time, but it came out perfectly, you know, as it always does. Thank you, John. And we're super pumped about it. And it came out really well. Okay, thank you so much for watching our video. I really appreciate your attention, but I do have one request of you. If you could please like our Facebook page, it's Home Love Construction. Additionally, we have really stepped up our Instagram lately. There's somebody who is behind the scenes really just crushing it right now. And so I really would appreciate it if you also followed our Instagram at Home Love Construction. If you just search Home Love Construction, it will come up. That feed is gonna be super on point. We're producing so much content. You're really gonna enjoy it, and it's gonna really bring you a lot of value as we start to get into more how-to videos and what to think about during inspections and really homeowner-oriented content that's really just structured to bring you the most valuable possible. That's what our mission is at Home Love Construction, is to bring a crazy, excessive amount of value than we ask for in return. And so that's what we're gonna do. So I'll see you in the next vid. Peace.